This is Ian,
And this is Mark.
and this is
Let's get into
Let's
it.
Get Into It. Episode 4, last pod of the year, Mark.
Yes,
What a
sir.
year it's been. First and foremost, how was your Christmas, buddy?
It was good. Time with family.
Excellent.
Yeah. How
All
about
good
you?
here too. Yeah.
Nice
Same
haircut, I
as
see. I
always, I
haven't
guess,
seen you
so.
all week. You've been off.
Yeah, been off all week, doing a lot of pod work. We'll see if it pays off. So,
You know what we don't have done yet, and we
anyway,
need maybe for episode 5. How about a jingle?
What's
Can we
that?
tease that? Can we tease that and commit?
we have been working tirelessly on a professional grade jingle.
Yes,
I think you guys are gonna like it.
So stay tuned for
got
that.
some strong piano chords and some incredibly electric vocals.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's going to be coming to your ear hole soon. So wait for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is a couple days before the end of the year. So this is our last pod. Pretty awesome. We've built something here, and we're just getting started, folks. So
Yes, sir.
thanks for being a part of this. It's meant a lot to myself, and I'm sure Mark as well. And here we go. Let's get into it. So episode 1. Sorry, topic 1.
Topic 1. We're going to talk about momentum in sports.
Momentum in sports.
Topic 2 for finance. We're going to kind of share a little bit of our personal finance journeys, where we've started, where we're at these days. And
Yes,
topic 3, the wild card. It'll be, I think, appropriate for, the post-Christmas time is Legos, what we think.
Everyone's favorite stackable, mixable bricks. So
Lego. All right, let's get into it.
So I'm going to, let's take it away.
Sports,
So sports. So I got to tell you, Mark, momentum, it's not a real thing. Okay.
It's not a thing. Okay.
It's the proverbial gas bag. It's the pundit safe word. It is I'm going to say, most meaningless bit of jargon in coach speak. So there's no statistical analysis that's going to give any credence to momentum being a tangible thing. I'm going to hit you up with 2 quick takes on 2 interesting studies to start this off that basically are going to help segue into momentum writ large. So first, 916 Western collegiate hockey games. As you know, those are often home and home series, where a team plays the same opponent Friday and Saturday
due to traveling and scheduling classes for college students. Yes,
exactly. Winning the first game had absolutely no effect on the probability of winning the second game. So the idea of the hot hand, the goal streak, kind of like, players feeling extra good and playing, so there was absolutely no probability of the first game having any impact on the second game.
Okay, so that's game to game momentum.
Game to game momentum.
Okay.
Exactly. Now, moment to moment momentum is a different story, but it's also the same story.
Okay.
The proverbial hot hand in basketball, we've all heard about it. The player making 5
I believe
threes
it's in video games, right? You're on fire.
Yes. NBA Jam, you're on fire. People tend to believe that a player's ability to make the next shot are greater after he or her has made the previous shot. But this long-running study by these Yale professors looked at the 76ers. They provided no evidence at all for a positive correlation between the outcome of successive shots. They also did this for free throws for the Celtics, and they did a controlled shooting experiment with the men and women Cornell basketball team. The outcome of previous shots influenced only the predictions of the shots, not their performance.
The predictions? What do you mean?
The predictions were, obviously, they predicted they'd make the next shot, right?
Oh, I just saw a clip on Steph Curry. He made 105 3-pointers in a row in practice the other day.
Yeah, and that's kind of segueing into part 2, is that although this fallacy of the hot hand, through stats and through sabermetrics and all these smart people, it doesn't mean anything, but it's innate to the sports fan, to the sports player. We've all had that hot hand. We've all felt like the next cornhole shot is going to go in, bet your house on it.
Self-belief.
It feels the unexplainable.
You can see it,
like
right?
There. Right.
You're seeing things
differently. You found that 5th gear. Your game is at the next level. You can't miss, right? You just can't miss. So that's why disproving momentum is so hard, right? Because we've all felt it. You guys have 100 people to define it. not only are they going to define it, but they're going to give you a anecdote where they've been the guy, the gal who's just like, give me the ball, I got this.
Yes, but that's probably just
So
a self-fulfilling prophecy bias that you're recalling, right? Not the other
right,
50% of the time where you missed the next shot.
yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think part of the problem is you're recalling those driveway moments where you won that horse game with your last three shots, but you've completely forgotten and pushed aside the games of horse where you couldn't make a shot, you got blown out, even though you felt like the next one was going to go in. It just didn't, right? Do you have any experiences, Mark, where you had that sort of driveway moment where you just momentum you believe is on your side?
Definitely be a driveway moment, definitely on a professional athlete moment. But none that I can think of off the top of my head. So I mean,
Okay.
I've been there. I felt it, and I would actually say it even applies not just to sports, but it could apply to at least if I'm arguing that it does exist, you can feel it when you're working on a project that you're passionate about, or your
Right.
future here, looking at the Legos, building a Lego set, and you're just like, your intensity, your focus is there. Is that not in the zone? I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely this idea of like the flow state,
That flow
where you're in
state.
sort of that fugue moment where they've interviewed a player and they've said that the ball looked twice as big. Their ping pong paddle was the size of a tennis racket, right? They couldn't miss. They felt super confident.
How about this question? This is episode 4. Does this podcast have some momentum?
Well, I would like to think so. I felt it. I think sabermetrics wise, it's probably not very provable, but I think some events just can't be explained, especially in sports. I mean, I'm not going to say that
that's what makes it exciting to watch.
Right. So, I mean, I guess my takeaway here is momentum is definitely overused in sports. I mean, I think an ESPN study showed that I think between 4 and 6 times a basketball game and football game, somebody said momentum in some form or another. I think there's something to be said about confidence, about being prepared. But I think that, as a casual sports player and as someone who enjoys watching sports, I think momentum is something that it's probably not there. It's not tangible in the sense that you can study it, but I think that it does have a real outcome on sporting events, right? And I think that, what do you do with the facts? You can kind of analyze it to death. But I guess, you're a sports fan, Mark. Does it matter? Does it matter if this is a real statistical, does it matter to you?
No.
Does the science and practice need to be in agreement for
no
yeah, I don't think so. I think it's better to just sit back, relax, and enjoy those moments where you have been able to kind of take your game to the next level. But interesting, I think, topic. It's one of those things where you can debate it till you're red in the face. You feel like something, you had the momentum on your side, but these studies say probably not.
Yeah.
You just got hot. You probably were prepared. So
all right, well, if you have a study that you can cite to counterpoint it, let us know.
We'd love to hear about it. So
definitely.
All right, moving on to finance. Mark, take it away, please.
Yeah, I think one of our focuses is we want to let you guys in a little bit, let to know who Mark and Ian really are, right? Behind the camera, behind the mic. So Ian, can you just, share, when did you first become interested in your personal finance journey? Do you recall?
I would say probably in terms of time, 2015, 2016.
Was it a moment or a trend or a theme, or what?
It certainly feels like it was kind of a collection of a few moments. Talking with some colleagues, said some things that finally kind of clicked, and I took that to the next level and researched it, and kind of also in conjunction with getting a job that gave some sort of
you money,
gives you money, and then also has a 401k kind of program.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you start to pull these pieces together and kind of think about, it in terms of, what am I doing? Am I doing the right things? What can I be doing differently? But, definitely 2015 or so for me.
Yeah, for me, it was similar talking with coworkers who were in my same like peer group, and also looking
Yeah.
to, as I reminisce on this, one of our leaders, managers at the time, who was older, who I thought had a good financial head on them,
Hmm.
and it's kind of been a journey. I know I invested in some like personal stocks on the side, and then at one point my son was born, and I had to get a new car. I had this debt, and I hated that, so I kind of sold the little bit I had to help wipe out my car debt. Did nothing
Hmm.
for a couple of years, and I feel like 2019 here, like Robinhood became a hot thing again for whatever reason in the news or in our workplace or something, and that kind of got me interested again just a
Hmm.
little bit before COVID. Of course, I wish I would have started earlier, but at this point in time, what would you say your goals are? And I don't mean, you want $1 million, but what are you aiming for? What are you
Yeah, I
aspiring
mean,
to?
I think what I'm aiming for, obviously this is kind of a huge buzzword, diversification, having a portfolio that is above and beyond just your 401k and your savings, um, passive income generation through holding, I mean, I remember the moment when I first heard that you could get paid to hold on to stocks, basically, that
Mm-hmm.
you could own a share of a company, Coca-Cola, and they would give you, I mean, obviously it's a small amount, but they would pay you, quarterly, 4 times a year, they would pay you money based on the shares you had, and you could roll those shares and reinvest into, fractional bits more of stock, or you could
Yeah,
even have them be funneled into, an account, and you could, that could pay your mortgage, that could pay your electricity bill.
theoretically,
Um,
that's mind blowing to me too. It still
so
kind
I
of is
guess
some
that's like
days.
that was
Yeah,
kind of my moment where I was like, there's something here,
yeah.
possibly let me explore this. I mean, lately I've been interested in the crypto just in terms of diversifying the portfolio, seeing if there's some returns to be had there. Um, you know, it sounds kind of trite, but I also, one of my goals is just to learn more.
It's
You
not
learn
trade
by
at all. I
doing.
think that should be life in general, not just financial life. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think that, making sure that you have, your 401k and your savings, stuff like that. And then like, what's next, right? Like, what else can I do to position myself in a way where I can make a change? I'm not saying, generational wealth, but I'm saying in terms of, my goal is basically to see if I can generate returns that, are would do better than just basically having money like under the mattress, right?
which is I think kind of funny. If I can speak for you a little bit, you and me both, we both have families and young children, so we're risk averse and conservative, but we also want to
Yeah.
quote unquote beat the market, right? But it's
I,
like
I keep I
constantly
keep coming to
battling.
terms
Yes,
with my risk aversion, whether it's I'm very hesitant to put a lot into any one thing, you know. I just keep thinking of the fact that there's no guarantees, especially with crypto recently. I've not been percentage wise, you know, disclosure here. I haven't been very successful at crypto. Obviously, I didn't need the money to make me money immediately. So it was kind of a medium to long term project. But we got into the market, Mark, when we were really in the midst of and to some degree are, a really strong bull market. So,
yeah,
you check in monthly, and you'd be making something, and put a smile on your face, but we could have entered the market on a different 5 to 7 year trajectory where that wasn't the case. So it's been enjoyable, but it hasn't been without
well,
its
you just saw the
challenges.
numbers right there. Investing should always be money that you don't need at least for 5 to 7 years, right? That's
Right.
investing as opposed to saving or
Yeah.
speculating or gambling. One quick question though,
Yeah.
you mentioned kind of our goal, your goal is learning. So how do you do that? What do you go to? What are your sources? You reading books, talking to people, internet? What's your go-to?
Yeah. My go-to has been talking to people, seeking out people in your life. You for one, Mark, who have some financial literacy, have the basics down. Recently I've been looking at YouTube and other, virtual avenues where, people who have, obviously pedigree and, have background, and, they know what they're talking about, listening to them, you know, talk about the checklist and the proverbial what to do next, and making sure that you're on the right path, and, how to supercharge your 30s. I'm trying to find things that are a little more tailor made for where I am, as opposed to
Yes.
just super broad.
Right.
Because you can Google and it's open an investing account, start a 401k,
Yeah.
have an emergency fund, pay off your debt snowball. Like that stuff's available. But to me, I think I'm ready for the 2.0 version where it gets a little bit more granular. And
do you think, I know you don't yet, do you think at some point in the next decade you would explore going to a financial professional and pay them for advice?
I think so.
Direction?
I think so. I think in terms of where I am at a disadvantage, I think that there's perhaps some subject matter experts that I haven't associated myself with that, really, really hone in on specifically where we're at, kind of.
Yeah. Like at what point does
function.
your self-teaching and what you can find,
Right,
you kind of max yourself out,
especially it becomes like an echo chamber where it's like, okay, I've done the 5 to 7 things
Yeah.
that everyone's saying I've done that. The base is established. I'm comfortable. I can sit on my laurels a little bit, but how could I supercharge this?
And I think that's the value from a professional, is basically just so that you don't get in your own way, because you're a smart guy.
Yes.
I think we know
the smartest
80% what to do.
Yeah.
And it's just about the next morning you wake up, don't change anything. And you seem to maybe I'm thinking a professional to say that at some point in time.
Yeah. I mean, I can't prove this, but I think we're kind of in maybe the golden age or a golden age of information where there's a lot of great stuff out there. And I think being around people who have similar interests financially and kind of see things the way you see things can be useful, but also can kind of, like I said before, you can kind of put up blinders, echo chamber kind of thing. I mean, what more do you want to learn, Mark? I mean, what's your next steps, I guess?
Great question. So I've done a little bit of, you probably see a few books on the shelf behind me. So I have read a couple of finance books. I did go back to school for business, so you kind of touch on finance there.
Mm-hmm.
I just sometimes seek out news sources to tell me the same thing, just to call me that there's a podcast.
It is reassuring to know that you've done some of the work, right?
Some people out there, you got to be careful of influencers, make sure they have the right, they're not trying to sell you something, basically.
Right. There's a ton of that out there for sure.
And I do like talking to people, both who agree, but also I do really value people who I respect as friends or intelligent people in the world, when they have a counterpoint, right? That's super valuable to hear it. And I think about it and I weigh it and either then agree with it or disagree with it, right?
Yep. I think someone pushing you with more actionable items is great. I think, this is the beginning of a new year. We mentioned goal setting. Financial goals is a big part of, our personal goal making, and kind of just pushing yourself to be the best version that you can be, and just grow in knowledge and wealth, I guess. So.
And I guess my ultimate goal beyond knowledge and the growth, is to one day achieve, quote unquote, financial freedom, financial independence.
Freedom, yes.
So you can basically, whether that means having your expenses covered by passive income, or just having the assets available so that you can make choices with your life, your career, your family, that are just, you don't have to think about the money piece of it. And definitely not there yet. But doing the work now, I think gets you there someday. And that's it. Gets you there someday. It's someday sooner, hopefully, rather than later. So.
All right. Very good. Excellent. So moving into the wild card, our third topic.
Speaking of spending money.
Yeah, it's definitely the season for spending money, right?
Yes.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about Legos with you guys. It's not finance, it's not crypto, it's Legos. So what are your thoughts about Legos, Mark?
So I have young kids, soon 3 and soon to be 5. And so we kind of have 3 different tier of Legos. There's like those
You're over Duplos now?
Big giant, Diplo Blockos or whatever.
Diplos.
And then the kind of smaller. And now we're really into just the Lego kits. And that we purchased some for my son, who's turning 5 soon, for Christmas and his birthday. Yeah, we got some from grandparents as well. He gets them for random gifts. He, I would say, does them about 5 to 10% right now. And then he just kind of wants to build random stuff. Whereas I want to follow the instructions and complete the.
We come from a line of completionists for sure.
Yeah.
My oldest will, upon getting a box of Legos, open said box, go to a quiet space, do the entire thing in basically one fell swoop, and then essentially even take the next step, and he'll keep that set intact. He's not going to hot glue it or anything, but
And that's
he's going to
okay.
have it on a shelf, right?
So does he take it apart ever or no?
I would
Does he
say,
play with them, like battle with them?
Yeah, there's a little bit of battling, but it's more of sort of the trophy shelf stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say like within 2 years, wear and tear, erosion, kind of, so to speak, and then sibling stuff, they do kind of fall apart. Once they're apart, they go into that huge Tupperware,
The bins, yeah.
the big bins, where then it's a free for all. But I will say we, try to mostly keep the sets pretty much intact. And
I keep all the manuals.
That's sort of that's good. See, I don't know if we have the manuals. I think that's why it's so easy to relegate them into the bin of I was gonna say nothingness, but I guess that's everythingness, right?
Because it's lostness. Yeah.
Yes, you can do anything with those, but I'm not nearly creative enough to be even able to replicate like 50% of like a professional Lego set. So like, I try to get pieces that are like spaceshipy and kind of make my own thing, but like
it's always a ship.
They have those professional Lego creators, it's pretty impressive what they can make, right?
My recent observations from doing these kits is there's so many different unique pieces than I feel used to exist. Is that
I think that's part of the whole like premium price point you build into, right?
That's the next thing. Are they appropriately priced?
The experts that work within that industry, honestly, I've read stories that they're underpriced. They could be they could be charging twice as much.
They feel expensive.
They definitely feel expensive.
Oh my gosh.
They are essentially plastic bricks.
It's like $20 for 20 minutes of entertainment, it seems like sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting into the 1,000 pieces, I think we got a Mario set that's like 2,000 or 3,000 pieces. I mean, that jumps up quick.
Yeah.
You're on the hook. Essentially, they're one of the most beloved companies
and stuff in the future, huh?
Yeah, I mean, but essentially, all the sort of reporting on them, how people feel, general sense, like sentiment. I mean, they can't do any wrong. I mean, they're beloved.
They made a comeback, right? I recall seeing some documentary on Netflix a year or two ago.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they had to make a huge choice whether they were going to take the the quote unquote marketing money from the Lucasfilm and the Harry Potter stuff, and they basically went full in on that. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that. I don't have an opinion per se.
The Lego movies are entertaining. The games are entertaining, I guess. I haven't played them a ton, but a little bit.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite set or early Lego memory you want to share here?
Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot. Honestly, my only that I can think of in the moment is just stacking them as high as we could. And these probably weren't the Lego Legos. They're probably one step bigger because we had kind of a bit of a taller, this is my childhood memory.
Yeah.
Taller living room. Right. Exactly. Where you stack them as high as you can kind of thing until they fall over. And you do it again. Right.
Yeah. I remember getting this aquatic pirate ship kind of like set where like there was a molded sort of base for basically like a sailboat thing, and like it was big enough where it was like a great base set, like a big piece where you could just put anything on top of it. And because it had that sort of that ship feel to it, it could be a spaceship, it could be like a tugboat. Like I just used this big white this big piece for everything. It was my first starter piece for all these different sets, and I still have it here in Michigan.
I was going to say, do you have it?
All the Lego that I had as a kid, which in retrospect, what we have already established is it was a pittance, but I have like my box that I still really haven't integrated into the full collection yet. I'm like holding off. I don't know why, because essentially they're timeless. I mean, like I can't tell this piece is from the 1994 Mulan set or something, as opposed to like new stuff, but I'm
sure
timeless.
It's very patented colors and processes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as a parent, I definitely wish they were a little bit cheaper, but I gotta say, like,
what if you could just buy the plans, the instructions, and not a new kit each time? Because you probably have the pieces to make.
That's true. That's true. Just the sort to find.
How about that? Is that a new business model for them right now?
I know that I know Lego is pretty litigious about secondhand stores and things like that, but there's a brick heads, or there's some chain where it's like licensed, and you can go in and you can buy refurbished sets and kits, because really there's the secondary market is basically just the tub.
Right.
I'm moving. My kids are old. Here's a tub of Legos for $50.
And
But, it's a free for all.
That's what my parents have. We don't have my Legos from when I was a kid here, but when we go to grandma and grandpa's, they have them there. And so they bring out the knights and the horses and the submarines and the ones that I recall from my childhood.
I guess the reason why Lego is around still is because you can't find a kid or an adult who's not interested in playing with them at least a little bit, right? I mean, they're ubiquitous. There's probably only a few toys that you can basically find without fail in the majority of households, right? I mean, Lego is one of them.
Is the success of Minecraft not connected to something with Legos must speak to the, subconscious human nature the same way Minecraft does, right? These buildings, these blocks, these like tactile, I think.
Yeah. It's got a great tactileness. I think that just that innate ability and desire to build and create something out of nothing. And, once you have the Legos, I mean, you can do anything with them. I mean, I know that there's probably like 2 trillion combinations with a box of 15 Legos or something. So, I think they're here to stay. I enjoy them. I definitely
2 trillion. I bet it's more than that.
Yeah. I mean, there's unlimited amount of like chess movements in a chess set. And that's a pretty limited, amount of pieces. But, I think, my takeaway in Legos is, I'd love to play with them right now if I could. Honestly, Mark, we'll just cut it short and just go back to playing Legos. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So we're at the time where we kind of reiterate our 3 topics. Mark, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So we talked about sports, the existence or lack thereof of momentum. We've all felt it, but studies can't find it. I don't know what that means, right? We shared a bit of our own personal finance journeys. Lots more to say there. Sure. I'm sure we'll talk about it in the future. Would love to know if you guys have, any personal finance stories you'd like to share. And then finally, wildcard story, Legos. It's topical for the holiday season. So
just don't step on them, right?
Or vacuum them up
So exactly. That's going to do it in terms of 2021. Obviously we're just about at the New Year's end here. Episode 4, you guys are listening to right now. We hope this is the beginning of an impressive audio journey, and we're really happy to have you alongside us. And we're just going to keep trying to get better and better for y'all.
Yep. Everyone have a happy new year and have a happy new year. Stay safe out there.
You as well, Mark.
So I'm Mark.
I'm Ian.
This has been Let's get into
it.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The content in this podcast is not intended to be a research report, financial, or life advice, and does not constitute an endorsement of any product, service, individual, or organization.